Hi, I'm Liam, this is Book of Films. The cast breakdown for The Suicide Squad and a little behind the scenes video has come out, and I know it's about a year until this movie comes out, but we're going to be stupid and try and predict deaths anyway. So for a quick rundown, there is a massive 16 members in this team. Bloodsport, Javelin, Mongul, Polka Dot Man, Ratcatcher 2, King Shark, Peacemaker, The Thinker, Blackguard, Weasel, Harley Quinn, Captain Boomerang, Rick Flag, Savant, TDK, which people think stands for That Detachable Kid, which is another name for Fall Off Arm Boy, and Soul Soraya, who looks to be a gender-swapped character from the comics. That's 16 members. There is a lot of them. I'm not going to lie, a lot of them required research because I had no idea who these people were. But obviously it's called The Suicide Squad. James Gunn has talked about people dying left, right, and centre, so let's predict. I've split them into a few categories, and yeah, let's just break it down. Javelin dies early. He's a very obscure character and a very jokey premise. He's an Olympic athlete turned villain, and I imagine he'll probably be the first casualty. Mongul is an alien and probably making her the most powerful member of the team, but despite this, I actually think she'll be a very early casualty, perhaps with her comically being hyped up for her power most of the first half of the movie, only to die. Moving on to the middle of the movie, Rick Flag. I think the first big plot twist in this movie will involve the team's leader, Rick Flag, dying. Narratively, it's an exciting thing to happen. It also leaves the team without a leader, something I believe Peacemaker and Bloodsport are going to argue about due to their conflicting personalities. Also dying in the middle, I think, is Blackguard. I think Blackguard is going to bide his time and try and escape. He's got quite a cocky attitude, at least Peter Davison has, perhaps after Flag's death, only to have his head implant blow him up. I think it will happen later into the film, since we've already seen Whiplash die in the first film, but I think the reason it will be Blackguard is because he's a famous actor playing an obscure character, which always spells disaster. You have to take into account there are several characters who are simply wielding guns, and given that Peacemaker and Bloodsport are likely main characters, I think this sets Blackguard apart to die with a bomb in his head. Dying at the end of the movie, I have to say Ratcatcher and also Weasel, and the reason I've put these two together is because I think they'll go out together, and I think they will have a romantic bond. I know this sounds absolutely ridiculous, but I don't really see too much use for rats in this mission, so putting Ratcatcher in this film is kind of weird, but pairing a villain called the Ratcatcher with a half-human, half-rodent sounds like the setup for a horrible, creepy, yet hilarious romance with the two going out together. Feels very James Gunn, and they are, at the end of the day, Ratcatcher's powers. She has control over rats, and with Weasel being a very, very obscure pick from the comics. And in the comics, someone who was dressing as a weasel, but from the clips we've seen, looks like somebody who actually is half rodent. So that feels like a very purposeful decision, and something that James Gunn would probably do for some sort of effect. The other death, I think, comes right at the end, is Peacemaker, John Cena's character. I think the main conflict between the main characters, at least, will be between Bloodsport and Peacemaker over one who's in charge once Rick Flag dies, and whose mentality over killing is better, with Peacemaker's inability to compromise being his downfall. Whether that's in a heroic sacrifice or whether he just dies is that. That leaves quite a few characters left. Survives. I think Harley is surviving. I think it's obvious she's too important. Bloodsport, given the caliber of Idris Elba playing the role, and he was supposed to be replacing Deadshot originally, I see Bloodsport surviving. Plus, he has a daughter, which spells out a major story arc for his character. Captain Boomerang, I don't really have any reasons other than that he's become a bit of a cult favourite, and he's returned despite not really being that integral to the plot. I think he'll survive, and I think he'll weasel his way through the plot. King Shark, I think he's an important character. I think he's someone they'd want to use later on, and it just kind of makes sense. Soul Soraya. Now, I don't really have any information about this character, but I do know that the actress who plays her is relatively famous, and I have a feeling that if anyone is actually the surprise protagonist of this film, then it could be her. The film seems to be dealing with some sort of dictatorship. Potentially there's quite a few South American actors playing characters, and potentially going off to take down some sort of dictatorship or corrupt regime. We know that filming finished in Panama, so I think if anyone could be the link to that storyline, it's this lady, Soul Soraya. And finally, Polka Dot Man. I just think he's the most out there character, and I think it's such a James Gunn thing to do, to cast someone as potentially the most ridiculous character you've ever thought of, and then have them survive all the way till the end. Now, that's my predictions, but as you'll notice, I've left 3 off: The Thinker and Savant and TDK. So The Thinker is a complete unknown to me, but if I think there's any character likely to betray the squad, I think it would be him. Whether it's to remove his implant and escape, whether it's to join the enemy side, or to sell the squad out, I think it could end with him either escaping or being killed by his fellow squad mate. Given that he's called the Thinker, I think that he would definitely have some sort of plan up his sleeve, and at least it makes sense for his character and for Peter Capaldi to choose some scenery. And the other two is Saban and TDK. I've put both of these in together because Nathan Fillion and Michael Rooker are longtime James Gunn collaborators and both play deeply obscure characters. Because of this, it's basically impossible to tell. They could make it to the end, they could be taken out in the first 5 minutes, or anything in between. If I had to guess, I'll predict a death for both, perhaps in the middle of the film. That's everyone. So to go over, I think dying is Javelin, Mongol, Rick Flag, Blackguard, Ratcatcher, Weasel, and Peacemaker. Living is Harley, Bloodsport, Boomerang, King Shark, Soul Soraya, and Polka Dot Man. And No Idea is Thinker, Saban, and TDK. If you have any ideas or predictions, let me know. Obviously, we haven't actually had an official trailer to go off, so it's very, very little information other than kind of gut instincts and the footage we have so far. But if you have your predictions, I'd love to hear it. And if you've just seen the film and you've watched this video and you've seen how completely wrong I am, please comment below and laugh at me for how my predictions were completely off. We don't even know if this is the full squad yet. There could be more. They could all die within the first 5 minutes, and we could have a different squad like Deadpool 2 did. Who knows? Let me know in the comments. Give me a like if you think my predictions are somewhat accurate, and I'll see you in the next video.